Hello, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today we'll go over what happens when an executor dies during probate. So, what happens if the executor dies during probate? Well, it really depends on how far along you are in the process, and that really determines what you have to do and how to proceed. So, we're going to share some real world examples and just cover this topic. All right. All right. So first, let's start with if the probate court process has just started. And by that, I mean nobody has been appointed yet. Papers are in and the court has been reviewing and processing, but nobody has been officially appointed yet. Sorry, but you probably have to restart.
Right. Guess what?
If the court is really cool, if you get a very helpful clerk, then maybe they'll allow you to amend your papers, which is kind of a little easier than starting over from scratch, but it really isn't even. You're basically starting over.
Right.
So, for example, Matt's passed away, and his mom, who was the executor, hired a lawyer, and they started the paperwork, they started the probate process to get her appointed. But before it was finalized, Matt's mom also passed away, sadly. So, which is often, spouses usually go fairly quickly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, thankfully, the court allowed Matt to amend his mom's court papers to kind of swap his name out for hers and have him named as executor instead of her, rather than having to redo everything from scratch. And that saved a couple of weeks. But again, it's still never going to be, you're still essentially starting over.
You are. And like you said, it's up to the court if they will
totally
allow that. All
right. So then the next scenario is, what happens when an executor dies? You probably you need an administrator DBN after an executor has been appointed. And the first question is, what the heck is an administrator DBN? I think there's some Latin name for it. It's administrator de bonis non.
Yeah, de bonis non or something. Yeah. It's because I Googled it.
Oh, very good.
Just saying. I'm good. I'm not that good. Yeah.
So if the executor has already been appointed, even if it's like the day after they were appointed, then you have to go to court to get a new one swapped out. There's no way around that. And unfortunately, swapping out executors, getting that de bonis non administrator swapped in, is about the same amount of complexity and paperwork and time as when you first hired a lawyer to get the first person appointed as administrator or executor. Yes. So yeah, none of these options are great, by the way.
No.
But letting you know, and good reasons to pick somebody young, reasonably good health to be your executor, right?
Absolutely.
Again, technically, you call this person the administrator DBN, and that's, I think the Latin means something about administering goods that have not yet been administered.
Yes.
Anyone who wants to correct my Latin, feel free.
Well, that's, again, my Googling. Yes, it is goods not yet administered.
Oh,
yes.
Nice. All right. And then once the DBN is appointed, the admin DBN is substantially the same as any other executor. You might run into a bank or a title company that's like, what is this? I need an executor, not an admin DBN. You just tell them, hey, you Google it. It's the exact same thing.
Just Google it. You'll get it. Yeah.
Very good. All right. So then lastly, what is the procedure? Like, what do you need to do when the executor has died and the estate is nearly complete? You're like really close to the finish line. And by nearly complete or close to the finish line, we mean that there's really pretty much only the accounting left, meaning the executor has already gone around and collected all the assets and collected all the information and tax returns. All of that communication with the outside world is done. All that's left is accounting, and which is putting together the report of what's happened, so that the heirs and the creditors agree that these are the final numbers and this is what they're entitled to. Okay?
The final report of everything in and everything out. And if you're at that point, then you're done. Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, you're at the end. You're at the end.
You're no longer running around collecting bank accounts or communicating with the IRS, at least.
Right.
All right. So when you're at this stage, then the court might allow the executor's executor to just step in. Okay, so in our example, Matt's dad passed away, And let's say his mom had successfully been the executor for many months or years and had done all the work, but then right before the finish line, she passed away. And then Matt happened to be his mom's executor. Then without having to do a separate court proceeding to name himself the DBN for his dad's estate, solely in his capacity as his mom's executor, he could slide in and finish up the accounting as an executor of an executor, which is very meta. It's like executor within an executor.
The executor, yeah.
So this is a very, very niche situation that only really happens, the court really only allows it if there's next to nothing left to do. If there's any communications or information collection or assets, or if the accounting becomes contested and there needs to be somebody standing in there to defend the accounting, then the court will probably demand that a full-fledged DBN come into play.
Yep. This is only in the matter of you're literally almost done, and there's really not a whole lot to do.
And that's pretty much it. Those are the three scenarios or three phases. When an executor passes away during probate, there are really three different scenarios that come up and there are three different ways to deal with it. And we just covered it.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more about probate and how probate works, check out Anthony's book on Amazon, How Probate Works. Digs into it a little bit deeper, some of these topics that we're covering.
Yeah, and I think if you are going through probate now and submit the online form for a consultation, I believe we have it set up so you get a free chapter from the book emailed to you directly.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I hope this quick one was helpful. Thank you, Janice, as always. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll talk next time.
Talk soon.
Bye now.